Hello everyone, welcome to Channel Slumber Stories. A vast, nighttime landscape beneath a deep indigo sky, glowing faintly under moonlight. The silhouettes of ancient mounds stretch across open plains, while distant city lights flicker on the horizon. The modern and the prehistoric sharing one breath beneath a velvet mist. An aerial vision of North America cloaked in dawn fog, showing hidden geometric patterns beneath the soil circles, serpents, and perfect alignments visible only from the heavens, glowing faintly like ancient constellations etched into the earth. A lone traveler in a dusty car on a misty Midwestern highway at sunrise, pausing by a field where the curve of an unnatural hill catches the light. A quiet moment of awe as ancient geometry reveals itself for an instant before disappearing into shadow. A forest clearing overgrown with moss and trees, where the ground swells in deliberate symmetry. The light filters through branches like stained glass, revealing half-buried stones and the faint suggestion of a forgotten doorway beneath the roots. An ancient civilization of tall, solemn builders, moving through primal landscapes, their figures draped in earth-colored cloth, carrying baskets of soil beneath a sharp, cold sky, their faces calm and otherworldly as they sculpt the land into living memory. A serene yet haunting tableau of early settlers, discovering the mounds, men in 19th century clothing, standing in torchlight, sketching and measuring the strange forms, while the earth glows faintly, as if watching them back. A dreamlike vision of the earth, breathing roots intertwined with bones, chambers glowing beneath the soil, ancient tools gleaming among relics. An unseen vibration travels through the land like the pulse of something vast and half awake. A symbolic composition of the continent as a living organism, rivers shaped like veins, mounds as heartbeats, stars aligned above them like memories of forgotten engineers who once mapped heaven onto earth. A tranquil field beneath the night sky, where ghostly figures of the tall ones shimmer, faintly luminous silhouettes rising from the mounds, neither human nor divine, surrounded by the quiet hum of ancient energy. A final symbolic scene, modern highways and glowing cities fading into transparent overlays of ancient earthworks. The land, whispering its secret beneath layers of time, the contrast between human noise above and the eternal stillness below. Farmers in early America stand amid misty prairies at dawn, their plows caught on curved ridges of ancient earth. The rising sun glows red over smooth arcs of soil, revealing faint geometric shapes, whispering of forgotten hands. 19th century surveyors kneel in the grass, measuring colossal mounds with chains and compasses. Parchment maps flutter beside them, marked with circles and serpents, while golden light paints long shadows over the Ohio hills. An ethereal aerial view from high above the American Midwest. Vast green plains threaded with perfect circles, squares, and serpent forms glowing beneath fog, like sacred geometry hidden in the veins of the continent. A dimly lit museum storeroom, filled with labeled crates and forgotten bones. Among them, a single copper ornament gleams with an otherworldly light, illuminating old handwritten tags and dust drifting like time made visible. An imagined chamber deep inside, a mound clay walls patterned with ash and woven fibers, an ancient skeleton resting amid copper bracelets and seashells, bathed in the golden glow of torchlight and reverence. Inside an office of the early Smithsonian, scholars in waistcoats study field sketches by lamplight. Shadows conceal missing artifacts, and their faces reflect both awe and unease, as if guarding a secret too large to name. A haunting landscape of disappearing mounds beneath railroads and growing towns, smoke rising from new industry as the soft shapes of ancient earthworks sink beneath the march of modernity. Early balloonists drift above the Midwest, sketching from wicker baskets. Below them, sunrise reveals enormous serpentine designs and interlocking circles glowing through mist, as if the ground itself were alive with memory. A symbolic tableau of native storytellers gathered by firelight, speaking of spirits of light and giants who turn to earth. Behind them, ghostly shapes of towering figures fade into the stars and soil. A modern aerial nightscape, where glowing highways cross the same ancient lines, once traced by the builders. A luminous code of geometry still written in the body of the land, half hidden beneath civilization's lights. A mist-covered North American wilderness before colonization, towering forests, wide rivers gleaming under silver dawn, and a lone group of explorers stepping from their canoes into the unknown, their faces lit by reverent awe. Hernando de Soto and his men crossing the Mississippi, armored figures on horseback, beneath a crimson sky, gazing upon massive earthen mounds, crowned with wooden temples glowing in the late sunlight. Indigenous watchers standing silent nearby. A symbolic tableau of Lewis and Clark sketching geometric mounds beside a great river, parchment maps spread before them, quills in hand, as unseen celestial constellations align perfectly with the shapes they draw. Inside a dense twilight forest, settlers uncover carved stones and copper ornaments among roots. The flickering glow of campfire light catches the polished surfaces, illuminating strange symbols and the shadow of something enormous buried below. A candlelit study filled with explorers' journals and quills. An open notebook reveals sketches of serpent mounds and annotated constellations, while the writer hesitates, his reflection caught in an inkwell torn between reason and belief. A vast field at dusk, where a solitary explorer stands atop a mound, the sun setting perfectly along a distant horizon, casting radiant gold light that traces the invisible geometry of the ancient builders. A dim archive of the old world priests and scholars, editing explorers' letters by candlelight, scratching out passages that mention giants or vanished civilizations, their red wax seals glowing like quiet censorship. A dreamlike campfire scene in a frontier tavern, rugged travelers whispering tales of giants and lost kingdoms, while smoke coils upward, forming ghostly shapes of towering figures above the flames. A celestial landscape merging heaven and earth, mounds below and constellations above, aligned in perfect harmony, connected by beams of light, symbolizing humanity's attempt to bridge myth and memory. A final allegorical image explorers fading into parchment dust, their maps dissolving into stars, as a new generation of scholars and dreamers emerges from shadow to inherit the mystery of the forgotten builders. A grand 19th century study filled with globes, maps, and cabinets of curiosity. Scholars in waistcoats lean over dusty ledgers, while outside the window, rolling hills of ancient mounds glow under a grey, watchful sky. Smithsonian field researchers in wide-brimmed hats dig under the golden sun beside the Mississippi, measuring tapes stretched across the earth. Crates marked specimens, their expressions equal parts fascination and quiet unease as they uncover strange bones. A candlelit museum archive shelves lined with mislabeled crates, tags curling with age. In the dim glow, a single skull with an elongated crown rests beside copper ornaments, half covered by shadow. A symbolic vision of progress devouring mystery steam trains and city scaffolds rising where mounds once stood. The earthworks dissolving beneath the weight of brick and smoke, the past swallowed by industry. A local newspaper office in the 1800s, a lone journalist types beneath flickering lamplight, surrounded by clippings headlined asterisk, giant skeleton found in Kentucky, asterisk and asterisk, copper tools unearthed asterisk, while his ink-stained hands hesitate over what truth to print. A rural landscape under twilight, only faint rises in the field, mark where mounds once stood, ghost-like outlines of their geometry shimmer above the soil, visible only in the low red light of sunset. An allegorical composition of two worlds on one side, polished museum exhibits behind glass. On the other, a dreamlike vision of the same mounds alive with sacred light, whispering to those who still feel their pulse. Inside a scholar's study, stacks of edited manuscripts glow faintly red as censored words vanish from the page. In the background, the faint silhouette of a mound looms through a rain-soaked window, half remembered and half erased. A haunting vision of the land itself, remembering fields glowing softly at night, ancient geometric patterns reappearing in moonlight, while spectral builders seem to move beneath the soil, reshaping memory. A tranquil night scene of a single surviving mound beneath a silver moon. Highways and modern towns glimmer faintly in the distance, yet the mound endures, pulsing with quiet light, the earth keeping its secret through centuries of forgetting. A dawn-lit aerial view above the American heartland spirals, circles, and serpent shapes woven into misty forests and river valleys, glowing faintly as if drawn by an unseen celestial hand. The serpent mound of Ohio rendered in radiant morning gold, a colossal earthen serpent coiling through the hills, its head aligned perfectly with a rising solstice sun that burns like divine geometry in the sky. A panoramic vision of Cahokia at its height, thousands of figures climbing Monk's Mound beneath a vast horizon, the plains glowing under twilight, torches flickering like constellations reflected on Earth. Scholars and early explorers in the 19th century, standing amid the mounds, measuring lines with chains and compasses, while the ghostly silhouettes of ancient builders watch unseen through layers of time. An ethereal depiction of geometry, incarnate interlocking circles, sine waves, and serpent-like curves glowing in soil and starlight, merging with constellations above as if sky and earth share one heartbeat. A lone traveller standing at sunrise within a perfect circular enclosure, light rays aligning with ancient markers. The air vibrates faintly, birds suspended mid-flight as the world seems to breathe in rhythm. A symbolic fusion of myth and science, towering translucent figures sculpting the land with music and resonance. Waves of sound shaping the soil into serpents, circles, and spirals beneath their hands. Close-up of layered soil within a cutaway mound, alternating colours of clay, sand, and ash, arranged like pages of a book. A cross-section revealing the builder's knowledge of balance and endurance. A mystical night scene, stars mirrored in the dark water of a river winding past mounds, their outlines glowing with faint bioluminescence, as if whispering to the constellations they imitate. A contemplative tableau of a solitary figure atop a mound under a silver sky, the modern world distant behind him, while before him the land unfolds in sacred symmetry, timeless and alive. A twilight field in rural America, where farmers uncover an immense skeleton, half buried in soil lanterns, casting long golden light over enormous bones and tools glinting faintly amid the mist. An aged newspaper office from the 1800s, ink-stained editors, and printing presses producing headlines about giants unearthed, sheets of paper fluttering like prophetic leaves across a candlelit desk. A spectral tableau of native storytellers gathered around firelight flames, reflecting in their eyes, as towering red-haired figures appear in the smoke, the tall ones walking slowly through ancestral memory. A visionary landscape of the builders themselves, immense, noble figures sculpting rivers and mounds with their bare hands under a canopy of stars, their movements both human and divine. Inside a museum storeroom, rows of wooden crates marked unclassified. In the shadows, a massive femur protrudes from straw, beside a forgotten tag dated 1851, a secret half buried in bureaucracy. A dreamlike panorama showing giants from mythic ages, Nephilim, Titans, and Anunnaki fading into one another across time, their silhouettes towering above continents, bound by threads of golden geometry. A modern figure standing atop a mound at dusk, dwarfed by the landscape, the sky glowing violet, as ghostly outlines of enormous hands shape the hills beneath the horizon. A symbolic close-up of soil layers within them, embedded copper ornaments, mica fragments, and giant skeletal remains intertwined with roots, as if the earth itself is preserving a forgotten design. An allegorical vision of strength and spirit, ethereal builders standing between heaven and earth, their forms composed of starlight and soil, raising mounds that glow with harmonic resonance. A final poetic scene, the vast American plains under moonlight, the mounds glowing faintly like sleeping giants, wind stirring grass as if the earth itself still breathes with ancient memory. A circle of tribal storytellers gathered around a great fire beneath a star-filled sky, faces illuminated by flickering flame, as shadowy silhouettes of towering figures rise in the smoke, the memory of the tall ones reborn in storytelling light. A Choctaw elder gestures toward a mural of giants sculpting rivers and shaping mountains, their immense forms glimmering through storm clouds while floodwaters rise, carrying echoes of ancient loss and survival. The interior of Nevada's Lovelock Cave, dimly lit by lanterns, archaeologists kneel among woven mats and giant sandals beside a shadowed wall, where faint red handprints linger, as if the Siteka still haunt the stone. An ethereal vision of the Iroquois Ongwe-Honwe, tall radiant beings of light standing among cornfields and starlit forests, teaching early people to plant and to watch the heavens, their eyes glowing with calm wisdom. The Lakota Plains under a sky of swirling aurora, immense spirits of the Wazir, emerging from wind and snow, their hands sculpting mountains and spirals of stone that mirror the constellations above. A symbolic tapestry woven with interlocking myths, red-haired Siteka, glowing Ongwe-Honwe, storm-carved Wazir, all encircling a central motif of mounds aligned to the solstice, their patterns glowing in sacred geometry. A quiet scene of an elder storyteller by the dying embers of a campfire, his hands raised mid-story as faint ghostly giants stand behind him, shimmering in the night air like memories made visible. A mystical composition blending continents, the Titans of Greece, the Nephilim of Canaan, and America's tall ones, all mirrored in the stars, forming one unbroken chain of luminous, forgotten ancestors. An abstract vision of sound and story, waves of spoken language, forming golden spirals through the air as the words of different tribes interlace, each carrying fragments of the same ancient truth. A final tableau under fading firelight, storytellers bowing their heads as colossal transparent figures fade into the starry sky, leaving behind mounds glowing faintly across the darkened land, the legend alive once more. A world map drawn in aged parchment, glowing with golden lines that connect continents through symbols of giants, floods, and pyramids. Mythic threads, binding distant civilizations under a single cosmic pattern. The Nephilim of the ancient Near East, rendered as colossal, solemn figures, standing before a storm-lit city, their eyes glowing as floodwaters rise, divine judgment falling in waves of luminous blue. Sumerian priests engraving clay tablets beneath a bronze sky, the towering forms of the Anunnaki descending from radiant clouds, their presence casting geometric light across ziggurats and fertile plains. The Titans of Greece locked in cosmic battle, immense marble-skinned beings wreathed in lightning and storm, their collapse mirrored by crumbling temples below and silent seas beyond. A Nordic landscape shrouded in snow, where the Jötnar stride among mountains, their shadows forming rivers and valleys, as northern lights swirl like divine breath above them. A serene tableau of Easter Island red sunset over the Moai statues, each colossal face glowing faintly as ancestral voices echo through the wind, hinting at vanished builders of vast stature. A panoramic view of the Earth at night, seen from space, faint luminous lines connect pyramids, mounds, ziggurats, and stone circles across continents, forming a web of forgotten design. An allegorical scene of giants singing stones into motion, waves of sound and golden vibration lift monoliths effortlessly into place, while smaller human figures watch in awed silence. A composite of global myths. Fomorians of Ireland, Viracochas of Peru, and Anunnaki of Sumer gathered in one celestial hall of memory, each surrounded by their monuments glowing with sacred geometry. A modern archaeologist kneeling before an ancient artifact half buried in earth behind her. Ghostly outlines of giants rise from the soil, their forms merging with the stars as myth and memory converge. A dim museum attic filled with dust and forgotten crates, moonlight cutting through cracked windows onto copper bracelets, mica mirrors, and bones laid out like relics of a civilization that never made it into history. A 19th century farmer, under the Ohio sun, pausing in astonishment as his shovel strikes a limestone chamber, copper ornaments and glimmering mica reflected in his wide eyes as earth collapses inward like a secret revealed. An early American newspaper press, clattering with urgency, typesetters hurriedly composing a column titled Asterisk. Ancient skeleton found beneath the fields. Asterisk, while ghostly hands turn the pages from beyond time. Inside, a Smithsonian vault, dimly lit shelves stretch into infinity-sealed crates marked unclassified. A single copper tablet glowing faintly from within an open box as if alive with memory. A scholar in candlelight examining a lost stone tablet engraved with spirals, crosses and serpents, the symbols shimmering faintly like constellations, reflecting in his ink-stained spectacles with awe and fear. A montage of vanished artifacts, bronze tools, alloy blades, mica mirrors, and strange stone faces laid out on velvet cloth, each one flickering with ghostly blue fire as they fade into shadow. A symbolic scene of museum curators closing heavy drawers labelled miscellaneous, their faces expressionless, while, beneath the floorboards, a spectral light outlines the missing artifacts whispering through the dust. A visionary landscape showing copper and stone tools buried in layers of soil that transform into star maps, the geometry of the heavens mirrored in forgotten relics beneath ploughed earth. A painterly depiction of an ancient pre-flood world, luminous builders forging copper under a golden sky, etching celestial patterns into stone tablets before the rising tide erases their cities. A poetic final image, countless lost artifacts glowing faintly within the earth like buried stars, their light tracing invisible lines toward the mounds above, waiting in patient silence to be found again. A vast landscape at twilight, abandoned mounds stretching into fog, the silhouettes of vanished builders dissolving into the horizon as the last light fades, their silent legacy merging with the earth itself. An apocalyptic tableau of ancient America, floods and fire cascading through the forests, rivers bursting their banks as copper ornaments and clay tools are swept away beneath a crimson sky. An archaeological cross-section of a mound glowing from within layers of ash, charcoal, and bone illuminated by ghostly light, a visual record of catastrophe preserved in the body of the earth. A celestial event over prehistoric plains, fragments of a comet streak across the night sky, igniting the horizon as the builders stand below, their faces calm, their shadows stretching toward eternity. A symbolic scene of transformation, tall figures walking into the ground itself, their bodies turning to soil and roots as they dissolve into the landscape, becoming one with the world they shaped. An ethereal depiction of later tribes arriving at sunrise, discovering vast mounds already ancient, their elders pointing in reverence, while spirits of the builders shimmer faintly in the morning mist. A modern archaeologist standing atop Cahokia at dusk, the air thick with unseen energy, the distant skyline echoing the same geometry the builders once saw in the stars. A poetic composition of civilization's cycle, rising cities mirrored by their own ruins reflected below, mounds glowing softly at the center like eternal heartbeats of forgotten wisdom. A meditative image of soil turning to constellations, grains of earth drifting upward to form stars, symbolizing the builder's transformation into cosmic memory rather than extinction. A closing allegory, a quiet moonlit field, mounds breathing faint light as wind moves through the grass, the sense that the builders still listen beneath, waiting for humanity to remember their name. A world consumed by flood and flame glaciers collapsing into oceans, mountains dissolving under torrential rain, and human silhouettes clinging to rafts of wood beneath a sky ablaze with falling stars. An ancient city swallowed by rising seas, pyramids and temples half submerged, as sunlight filters through water, illuminating carvings of stars and serpents fading into silence. A cross-section of the earth glowing like a manuscript page, layers of ash, soot, and gemstones telling the story of impact and fire, while ghostly figures of builders kneel among their mounds. A circle of ancient astronomer priests atop a mound under a swirling sky, measuring shifting constellations and carving warnings into soil, their faces lit by the orange flare of a distant comet. A desolate post-cataclysm landscape, rivers of ash and ice stretching into grey horizons. Survivors gathered around a fire, retelling the story of the old world that ended in flame. A symbolic composition of memory, fading carved tablets dissolving into mist. Words transforming into mythic symbols as the great flood of forgetting washes across the parchment of time. A modern skyline reflected in ancient water skyscrapers, mirroring the shape of long-lost mounds, suggesting that every civilization rebuilds the same patterns it has already forgotten. A contemplative figure standing on a mound at twilight, holding an ancient copper artifact behind him. The constellations align with the horizon, bridging the memory of the old world and the present. An allegory of cyclical time, a serpent devouring its tail encircles the earth. Within it scenes of floods, rebuilding, and rediscovery, symbolizing humanity's endless rise and forgetting. A tranquil closing image, dawn breaking over ancient mounds veiled in mist. Shafts of sunlight revealing faint carvings of stars and waves. The world remembering what it once lost. A luminous night sky above ancient mounds. Constellations perfectly aligned with earthbound circles and spirals, as ghostly builders trace lines of light between the stars and the soil. A child sitting beside an elder, beneath a firelit sky. The elder points upward toward the Milky Way, as the smoke of their fire twists into the shape of celestial dancers, carrying forgotten astronomy through story. A sacred geometric mandala drawn across a landscape, circles, spirals, and squares glowing faintly on plains and rivers, each connected by golden threads that pulse like the heartbeat of the planet. Copper artisans of the ancient world hammering to the rhythm of drums, sparks of light rising in perfect intervals, as they shape pure metal with songs instead of hammers, music guiding creation. An ethereal scene of oral transmission storytellers surrounded by glowing constellations that flow from their mouths, like living symbols, merging myth, science, and memory into one seamless vision. A futuristic satellite view, juxtaposed with an ancient landscape, glowing lines of alignment, reveal how modern radar traces the same patterns once mapped by forgotten astronomer builders thousands of years ago. A field of mounds seen at sunrise, each one humming with faint resonance. Golden light spilling from their peaks as energy flows between earth and sky, symbolizing communion rather than conquest. A montage of continuity birds migrating beneath constellations, farmers planting by lunar cycles, dancers tracing spirals in the dust, all echoing the same cosmic order known to their ancient ancestors. A contemplative modern figure standing atop a mound under a night sky, alive with auroras feeling the hum beneath their feet, realizing they are the inheritor of an unbroken memory. A final allegory of remembrance, ancient and modern hands overlapping in light, holding a single glowing spiral that bridges past and present, symbolizing the rediscovery of harmony between heaven and earth. A dimly lit library filled with dust and silence, shelves of yellowed newspapers, forgotten journals, and cracked microfilm reels glowing faintly as ghostly words like asterisk, giant skeletons unearthed, asterisk shimmer into view. A 19th century excavation scene at twilight, workers uncovering immense bones near a riverbank, while uniformed officials stand nearby with ledgers, their shadows long and watchful under the setting sun. Inside an archive basement, rows of wooden drawers labelled unverified, miscellaneous, misplaced. In one open drawer, a faded photograph of a mound excavation rests beside an unfiled report glowing with hidden ink. A 19th century newspaper office editors, under gaslight typesetting, stories of ancient skeletons, unaware that their printed words will one day vanish from history, the ink glowing red like prophecy. A haunting corridor of the Smithsonian glass cases half empty, display cards missing, a single crate marked uncatalogued, glowing faintly beneath layers of dust and secrecy. A small-town farmhouse at night, an old man recounts his grandfather's story of government wagons, taking away ancient bones, his face lit by a single oil lamp, memory flickering like flame. An allegorical vision of censorship, parchment pages with lines of text fading mid-sentence, words turning to smoke as unseen hands blot out details that no longer fit the official story. A glowing collage of rediscovery, drone footage of mounds, digital scans of old headlines, maps overlapping across centuries, the invisible network of forgotten truths coming slowly into focus. A symbolic depiction of absence, a museum display case perfectly lit but empty, its placard reading simply asterisk, no record on file, asterisk, while faint outlines of vanished relics shimmer in the air. A closing tableau, an unseen hand turning a final archival page to reveal a blank space where history should be. The emptiness glowing softly like a doorway waiting to be opened. A grand candle-lit archive hall filled with scrolls, maps, and crumbling ledgers. Beams of light reveal ghostly silhouettes of scholars writing and erasing, simultaneously, history being shaped and forgotten in the same breath. A 19th century curator at his desk beneath the Smithsonian Dome, surrounded by artifacts and mounds of papers, one hand cataloguing, the other quietly sweeping inconvenient relics into a shadowed drawer. A symbolic tableau of history rewritten parchment pages, layered like palimpsests. Old text, glowing faintly beneath new ink. Erased names and lost civilizations shimmering beneath the veneer of modern order. A museum hall of glass cases under dim light, displayed artifacts arranged neatly, while unseen objects linger in sealed crates behind locked doors, faint golden light leaking from their seams. A visionary allegory of power shaping memory, a robed figure painting over an ancient mural depicting mounds and stars, as faint images of the original design glimmer beneath layers of new pigment. A digital era parallel glowing computer screens filled with scanned maps and old newspaper clippings, researchers rediscovering forgotten alignments and erased reports, light from the monitors reflecting like revelation. An abstract depiction of silence as censorship books arranged in perfect symmetry, every open page completely blank, the whiteness radiant like quiet denial turned into sanctified truth. A serene landscape of mounds beneath starlight, each hill glowing faintly with celestial reflection. The constellations mirrored in the earth as if the land itself were trying to speak. An allegory of curiosity, a lone figure holding a lantern among ruins, uncovering faint carvings of spirals and stars that reappear under the warm glow, truth rising again from shadow. A cosmic closing image, the wheel of time drawn across the sky, glowing lines looping endlessly as mounds and stars align beneath it, symbolizing the eternal return of remembering and forgetting. A vast spiral carved into the landscape at sunrise, mounds, rivers, and stars aligning in golden harmony, symbolizing the endless turning of time and the heartbeat of civilizations reborn. An ancient astronomer standing atop a mound, arms outstretched as the sun and moon balance on opposite horizons, the sky painted with the spiraling motion of constellations above his head. A celestial view of galaxies and atom-like orbits, merging cosmic spirals blending with the geometry of earthworks, suggesting that human history and universal motion follow the same sacred rhythm. The Serpent Mound of Ohio, illuminated by moonlight, the curve of its body glowing silver as if breathing, symbolizing rebirth, eternity, and the cyclical heartbeat of time. A serene depiction of the four ages of man, from builder to dreamer to ruin to rebirth, arranged in a circular composition, each figure touching the next in a loop of continuity. A poetic allegory of the mound, builders crafting with soil, their hands shaping the earth into spirals that mirror galaxies above, their faces calm as if sculpting time itself. A quiet modern scene, a lone observer standing on a grassy mound at dusk, gazing upward as ancient constellations glow in perfect alignment, the present folding gently into the past. An abstract vision of time's spiral golden light twisting through darkness, carrying fragments of forgotten civilizations, each turn marked by symbols of mounds, floods, and rebirth. A circle of ancient and modern figures joined hand in hand around a glowing spiral of earth, their forms overlapping in transparency, representing the eternal return of wisdom through generations. A closing cosmic panorama, the earth seen from above, glowing with interconnected spirals of light that blend into the Milky Way, illustrating time as a song whose first note always returns. A dawn-lit mound surrounded by mist, a solitary figure standing at its peak, as spirals of golden light ripple through the grass, symbolizing the breath of the ancient builders awakening through time. A modern city skyline reflected in water, its skyscrapers forming the same symmetrical geometry as ancient mounds beneath, glass and earth merging into a single timeless design. A bird's-eye view of highways, rivers, and monuments forming hidden sacred patterns, unseen alignments, glowing faintly under moonlight, echoing the geometry of long-forgotten architects. A musician drumming beside a mound at sunset, each beat of the drum sending ripples through the air, the rhythm mirrored by constellations shimmering faintly in response. A procession of seekers at Serpent Mound during solstice torches, burning as the setting sun aligns with the serpent's head, the crowd bathed in a glowing orange resonance. An ethereal scene where ancient builders and modern people overlap, transparent figures working side by side, shaping mounds of light and earth beneath a swirling celestial sky. A close-up of hands, one ancient, one modern, pressing into soil together, copper bracelets glinting as energy spirals between them, symbolizing continuity and shared creation. A poetic landscape where rivers curve like serpents and hills form spirals, the earth itself glowing with unseen architecture. The geometry of the builders reborn in nature's form. A cosmic tableau of humanity's pulse, modern skyscrapers, ancient mounds, and stars connected by luminous threads, each beat of light revealing the shared rhythm of past and present. A final vision, the spiral of time glowing in the heavens, its golden curve descending toward Earth as shadowy figures of the ancient builders emerge within it, waiting at the next turn of history. A glowing satellite image of North America at dusk, faint circles and spirals appearing in farmland patterns, ghostly signatures of ancient mounds reawakening beneath modern cities. A solitary researcher illuminated by the bluish glow of computer screens surrounded by digitized maps, old clippings, and swirling holographic projections of forgotten earthworks forming a vast network of light. A montage of late-night dreamers, men and women listening to quiet stories by lamplight, their faces reflecting the same timeless curiosity that once guided the mound builders. An ethereal landscape, ancient mounds glowing faintly under starlight while drones and satellites hover above, beams of light connecting past and present in a web of rediscovery. A poetic depiction of the internet, as a living mound streams of glowing data swirling into spiral formations, each thread connecting scholars, dreamers, and seekers across time and distance. A figure walking barefoot along a riverbank at twilight, their reflection intertwined with ancient carvings beneath the water's surface, symbolizing the body remembering the wisdom of the earth. A scientist and a mystic standing together before a mound, equations glowing in the air beside constellations, their gazes meeting in quiet recognition that science and spirit share the same origin. An aerial panorama of people forming a vast spiral in the desert sand, their lanterns outlining the same celestial geometry, once carved by forgotten hands millennia ago. A dreamlike vision, millions asleep across the world, threads of golden light rising from each dreamer to merge in the night sky as the ancient builder's pattern reawakens through collective memory. A closing allegory, an immense spiral of light connecting ancient mounds, modern cities, and the stars above, symbolizing curiosity reborn as humanity remembers the forgotten wisdom of its own beginnings. A twilight field where a figure stands upon an ancient mound, soft golden light rippling through the grass, as ghostly silhouettes of the builders shimmer in the air around them, merging past and present. A cosmic vision of human figures made of starlight and soil, ancient builders and modern people overlapping in form, bound together by spiraling strands of light symbolizing memory across ages. A vast mound under a night sky, constellations above, reflected perfectly in the curves of the earth below, representing humanity's eternal dialogue with its own forgotten origins. A quiet moment at dawn, a traveller kneels to touch the soil, unaware that faint, luminous patterns of hands from ancient builders glow beneath the surface where they once worked. An allegory of continuity, a circle of human faces through time, from ancient to modern, blending seamlessly into one another like ripples in a single pool of consciousness. A symbolic scene showing humanity's choice, two paths diverging from a radiant mound, one leading to harmony bathed in green light, the other to ruin under storms of crimson fire. A futuristic city, built in spiral formation, glowing towers, reflecting the geometry of ancient earthworks, their foundations pulsing faintly with the same harmonic resonance as the mounds. A grand tableau of the spiral of time, the builders at one curve, modern humanity at another, luminous threads of sound and light connecting both across the vast circle of eternity. A serene landscape under heavy mist, the faint outlines of vanished mounds glowing beneath the earth as echoes of songs drift upward like sound waves frozen in air. A closing cosmic image, the earth seen from space, its continents faintly illuminated by spirals of light forming the pattern of a heartbeat, symbolizing that humanity and the builders share one eternal pulse. A moonlit mound under a vast star-filled mist curling at its base, faint silhouettes of ancient builders emerging from the soil as if breathing with the earth beneath a sacred sky. A contemplative figure standing atop a mound at night, the constellations above mirroring the shape of the mounds below, stars and earth connected in silent alignment. An ethereal vision of the builders asleep beneath translucent layers of soil, their forms blending into roots, minerals, and glowing currents of light that pulse gently, like a heartbeat of the land. A quiet landscape at twilight, torches flicker in the distance as ancient hands carry baskets of soil, each motion blending into wind and grass, symbolizing memory shaping itself into form. A cosmic reflection scene, the night sky and the mound's curve aligned perfectly, forming an infinity loop between stars above and stars reflected in dew below. A symbolic depiction of earth and time intertwined, the builders' spirits rising like faint golden roots through layers of rock, connecting sky, soil, and starlight in one breathing organism. A vision of the night wind moving over grass, each blade shimmering faintly, whispering with the presence of unseen ancestors, the air alive with remembrance. A panoramic composition showing countless mounds glowing beneath constellations, the earth itself appearing as a vast living map of light, the builder's legacy humming across continents. A lone traveller kneeling on a mound at dawn, the first light of sunrise breaking over the horizon, illuminating dew like scattered stars, symbolizing renewal and eternal patience. A final sacred tableau, the earth seen as a sleeping giant, its surface shaped by the hands of the builders. Above, the stars shimmer softly in silent communion, eternal and at peace. A lone listener standing atop an ancient mound under an endless starlit sky, the land shimmering faintly with hidden constellations as earth and cosmos merge in silent communion. A vast nocturnal landscape, rivers glinting like threads of silver beneath drifting clouds, mounds fading into silhouette, the timeless echo of ancient builders stirring beneath the soil. A close-up of hands pressed gently into damp earth starlight reflecting in puddles, the touch symbolizing connection between listener and builders, between memory and matter. A celestial alignment, stars above forming the same spirals traced in the landscape below, the heavens mirroring the geometry of forgotten creation. A dreamlike vision of the builders asleep beneath translucent soil, their forms woven into roots and glowing currents of light, resting in the rhythm of the earth's slow breath. A contemplative figure gazing upward as mist rolls across the mounds, the constellations shining brighter, the sky whispering the silent message, asterisk, you have been here before, asterisk. A symbolic composition, the listener's reflection merging with ancient faces in the starlit dew, the boundaries between past and present dissolving into luminous oneness. An ethereal panorama, endless mounds glowing softly like constellations across the earth, their alignment mirrored by the stars as if the planet itself were remembering. A final tableau of serenity, the listener walking away into shadow as the wind moves through grass, the mounds breathing quietly, the night humming with eternal peace. A closing cosmic image, the Earth seen from space, spirals of light connecting mounds and stars, while the faint outline of sleeping builders forms within the planet's glowing core.